Hello, everybody. Welcome in. We got Paul Specht, part of our amazing NC Capital team. Today, we're going to have a political conversation. So we have all these headlines going on. Let's talk about what politicians are thinking right now. And you're working on a story today. Today is April 13th. You're working on a story today about how Democrats are kind of eyeing some key Republican districts. They think that they can win. Let's say the cards they think are in their favor, and they're willing to play it. Am I right?
That's the gist of it. Basically, the story is about how things have changed this calendar year in recent months. North Carolina has 14 congressional seats, right? Mm-hmm. And Democrats only have 4. Now, last year, they were thinking like, we'll be lucky to win all 4 because Republicans in the state house redrew the map to give their party an advantage in 11 out of the 14 seats. Mm-hmm. So by that math, Democrats would probably lose one of their own in the upcoming election, right? Now, with gas prices high and the Iran war pretty unpopular, mm-hmm. and Trump's approval ratings kind of dipping a little bit, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, which is the primary campaign committee for electing Democrats to the U.S. House of Representatives, they are saying like, hey, we're not just trying to protect our own here. We think we can take out 1, maybe 2 other Republican incumbents in North Carolina, and they're on opposite ends of the state.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wow. So I really like how we are kind of getting into the action part where people, they're analyzing things right now. And now the Democrats are seeing, hey, we may be able to get a leg up if we put some more money into it. Now people are starting to put money towards where their gut is saying that, hey, I think we can win this. I think we can win that. Which districts, which areas of North Carolina are they thinking about for this?
Okay, so their primary target is District 1. That's Democrat Don Davis. He's an incumbent. He's still their top priority, they say. Because his district was redrawn to give Republicans an advantage. That's where most of their money is going to go. Mm-hmm. These 2 districts that they're now eyeing, for lack of a better word, one is District 11. That's out west. It's represented by Republican Chuck Edwards. And Democrats say, hey, in this district, sure, Trump supporters voted for him over Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris by 9 percentage points in the last election. That gives them an advantage, but Helene recovery has been slow.
Yes.
That people may remember Hurricane Helene hit in September of 2024. The estimated damage is about $60 billion. We have maybe 20% of that in, maybe.
Yes.
And so that group, the DCCC, what they call it, says they think not only are gas prices high, is this war unpopular, is Trump, divisive, they think, too, that Edwards, the Republican out there, will face backlash for the slow recovery efforts. And so they're saying, hey, give to this guy, Jamie Ager, the Democrat out there, we think he has more of a chance now to knock off Edwards. So that's one out west. There's another one they're looking at on the coast, or the middle of the coast, represented by Republican Greg Murphy. He represents District 3. Basically the same storyline, the war, gas prices, tariffs, Trump's approval ratings. They think give his opponent, Raymond Smith, a chance of competing. Now, Smith is a former state legislator, so he has experience in the region. Speaking to people out there, this is not his first rodeo. One thing that's interesting about him taking on Murphy is that Murphy hasn't had, forgive me, much of a competitor through the years. He was first elected back in 2019, and he's won every race by about 24 points at least.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So with Raymond Smith out there, he's a combat veteran. He used to be in the state house here in Raleigh. And the Democrats think that he could give Murphy maybe a run for his money. Now it's going to be harder out there. While, voters in the 11th out west supported Trump by 9 percentage points, they supported Trump by about 13 percentage points in Murphy's district. So it's a bit more of an uphill climb for Smith against Murphy. But that Democratic group says, if things continue to get worse and Republicans either vote Democrat or if they just stay home, then maybe we have a shot in these two places. We spoke to political analysts at something called the Cook Political Report.
Okay.
And Sabato's Crystal Ball, that's a part of the University of Virginia, and asked, do you guys really believe this hype that Democrats are putting out? And they said, it's going to be pretty tough. They still think that it's unlikely that those upsets happen. But if they were to happen, it would be more likely in the Western District with Edwards, who faces potentially the backlash from slow Helene recovery. They're not convinced that Democrats have a chance out east in knocking off Greg Murphy.
Well, I will say this has been the year of political upsets for sure, especially in Rockingham.
Well, for sure, with the anti-incumbent sentiment. And then it's funny you say that. When I went back to the Democrats and said, hey, these political analysts aren't buying what you're selling, at least over here out east. Mm-hmm. They said, well, there have been a number of special elections this year where Democrats overperformed by 17 points, by almost 30 points in one case. And special elections are typically where someone resigns or there's a vacant seat or they're elected to another office, and so there has to be this election to fill that.
Yes.
And they gave us a list of special elections where Democrats just overperformed by double digits in each one. And they say, if that trend continues into November, then maybe we do have a shot. Now we also asked Republicans what they thought of this. We reached out to the National Republican Congressional Committee called the NRCC, sort of basically the same group that the Democrats have, but on the opposite side of the aisle. And they're like, come on. This is a political hallucination to think that Democrats can compete in these Republican districts, even with Helene, even with gas prices being high. These incumbents out there, it's historically hard to defeat incumbents, and special elections don't usually translate to general elections. Because people just, more people sit at home for special elections because they don't know about them. But for midterms, like the one we'll see in November, I mean, people are going to be riled up. We're going to see so many ads on TV and the radio and on your phones and everything. So more people get out and vote.
So I think what we talked about is the micro aspect of it, kind of being real specific here in North Carolina in the specific districts. Let's blow this thing up a little bit in the macro aspect of, let's say, Democrats changing their messaging and trying to align with what the people want, because I saw this as well kind of in the Appalachian sister state of West Virginia. Democrats, people wanted Democrats to be more focused on their issues, the environment, coal, rather than necessarily pronouns and other things as well. And then now you see Republicans also trying to change their messaging as they adopt MAGA into their more mainstream ideology. What have you seen on the ground in terms of identities changing and transforming over time?
Well, what we're seeing on the Democratic side is them running away from the culture war issues, where, in previous elections, let's say since 2018, we've seen a lot of talk about abortion from Democrats. They've said, Republicans are going to take away your reproductive rights. Republicans, of course, have said, no, we believe in that you shouldn't have such loose rules for abortion.
Yes.
But that was a big deal in recent years. And this year, Democrats are campaigning on affordability. They saw how effective Republicans were at campaigning on that issue in 2024 when they won the U.S. House, the U.S. Senate. Obviously, Donald Trump won a second term. And that's what we're seeing on the ground now in the U.S. Senate race here, which is the biggest race on our ballot this November. Democrat Roy Cooper, the former governor, I mean, that's all he talks about, you know. And so I think that's the biggest trend we're seeing is Democrats trying to steal a page from the Republican playbook from 2 years ago and saying, you know, let's talk about prices. Let's talk about your wallet and not much else.
There you go. And then also, it's funny enough, you and Will, your counterpart over there at NC Capital, amazing. We love working with you, Will. You guys also podcasted a little bit about this as well, talking about, you guys have written about it because Michael Whatley was in town, and same with Roy Cooper, kind of all along the same lines, affordability.
Right. I'm glad you mentioned that because Cooper's not the only one campaigning on that. Michael Whatley is too. I was more so speaking earlier, just how things have changed for the Democrats. But that's what Whatley is running on too. And they talk this week is the deadline to do your taxes, by the way. And so you're going to see a lot of Republicans talking about that and saying, like, look, the one big, beautiful bill, President Trump's signature legislation that they passed, that cut taxes for people. And so they're talking about it in different ways. Democrats are saying, hey, tariffs are bad. War is driving up the cost of gas. I want to put that money back in your pocket. Republicans are saying, hey, we passed that big bill so that you don't have to pay as much in taxes this year. So they're getting at the same issue from different angles.
Absolutely. Well, let's bring this thing back down micro to the North Carolina perspective. Is there anything else that we're missing? Anything else that people should be talking about in terms of the micro aspect of, hey, Democrats are really eyeing these Republican districts?
One thing to keep in mind, and this is sort of a disclaimer, is that there's a lot of rhetoric that comes out in elections and before elections. And one political analyst pointed out to us that oftentimes these groups, whether it's the DCCC or the NRCC or some other group that's trying to elect people, will exaggerate their strategy when it comes to how they're going to spend their money. So, and we're getting into the weeds, but I want people to know that not everything people say is necessarily going to come true. The DCCC said, hey, Don Davis is our priority, reelecting him. He's an incumbent Democrat, but we're also going to spend, we're going to help these two candidates. A political analyst told us it's possible that the Democrats are saying that to try to get the Republicans to spread out their money.
That makes a lot of sense.
So Davis is the most vulnerable incumbent Democrat in North Carolina. His district was just redrawn to be more favorable for Republicans. It'll still be tough because Davis is considered a strong candidate. He's from here. He's represented that area for a long time. Democrats have held that seat for, decades, and it's been held by a black representative since 1992, I believe. So that's going to be an uphill battle. It's possible, and I'm paraphrasing this, that Democrats are saying, oh, yeah, Republicans, we're going to spend over here too and over here too. You might want to spread your money out. Yeah. In hopes that Republicans don't put all their eggs in the basket to oust Don Davis. And his opponent is Republican Lori Buckout. This is a rematch from 2024 when Davis beat her by 2 percentage points. It's still going to be difficult for Davis to hold his seat, but there could be some gamesmanship happening here. That's the only other thing I would note is, you can't believe everything people say when it comes to politics and how they're going to spend their resources.
And to the audience, you guys just got to remember that there is a finite amount of money,
a
finite amount of resources to pit behind all these campaigns. And how many campaigns do we know are happening this November cycle? Hundreds, dozens?
Oh, yeah.
So everybody's asking for extra money.
Right. And the parties and the political analysts said the Republicans will do this too. They'll say, oh, we're going to spend on all these races when really maybe they're just trying to do that to get the Democrats to spread their resources out. Both sides are trying to figure out what the other one is doing and trying to trick them into wasting their resources.
Well, thank you for helping break down the political aspect of really what's going to be a very impactful and more emotional, and I'd also say personal personal campaign that's going to happen this November 2026 midterm election cycle, especially with AI, the ads, everything's going to be in your face, on your phones, text messages, and things like that. So we're going to keep you informed here.
And I would say, too, I don't know what will happen in these elections. I know we talked a lot about what political analysts said, but if you're in one of these districts, whether it's Don Davis's district or Chuck Edwards' district or Greg Murphy's district, go to one of their events. Go see for yourself. I don't know what's going to happen. 100%. We don't know what's going to happen. These analysts tell us what they think, but they don't know. So we'll see.
Well, one thing we're always going to encourage, make sure your voice is heard. Go vote. Go listen. We're going to make sure that we post as many speeches and campaigns that we can here at WRAL. And also the good thing is we podcasted already about majority of these topics. We podcasted on Rockingham County and that major election. We've also podcasted about District 1 as well. I'll make sure all those interviews and things are linked. Anything else that you want to plug in?
Anytime you come to our website, just go scroll down about midway through our page and go to the NC Capital section to see the latest stories.
Yeah, you guys keep us up to date every day. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.